So I have exciting news, which is why I wanted to do my first reel because I've never done such a thing. Tomorrow, February 5th, is my last day of chemotherapy. Yeah, I haven't really told many people, but for the last 6 months, I have been battling cancer. Guess I really found out in July that I have Hodgkin's lymphoma. What is that? It's when you have a lump. And for me specifically, it was around my neck, my armpit, some parts of my chest, and I guess a little bit of my groin that were cancerous. So I wanted to share my first video talking about my experience with it. But first off, I want to thank those people that did know. I would not have been able to survive the last 6 months without the support of my friends, my family, my coworkers. I mean, I'll go into details, but I have such a core group of people that really supported me. I mean, they were there for every little thing that I needed. If I started crying, they were like, I'll be there in 15 minutes. If I felt unsafe to go to the grocery store, they offered to go for me. It's an overwhelming amount of love and support. And I'm so grateful. So thank you. I mean, I think the people know, but, of course, my mom, my dad, my brother, my stepmom, my best friends, Maya, Clarissa, Mata, my coworkers, Pablo and Teresa. You guys are lifesavers. I mean, literally, you're my lifesaver. You're on my text group chats 24/7. And I know I'm missing people, but all the other people that have texted me and reached out to me and called me nonstop, thank you, because you need that. I mean, if I didn't have that, I wouldn't have been able to do the last 6 months. All right, I'm gonna get emotional because it's been a journey for sure. But let me go back. So in June, I was actually hanging out on the couch, social distancing with my girlfriends, having a glass of wine. And I felt really tired, and it was like 8 o'clock at night. And I was like, it's early. Why am I exhausted? And I'm like curled up on the couch in the corner, like literally about to pass out. And then I'm like feeling around. And I'm like, that feels like a bump. Like, I wonder if it's just like a pimple, because I historically just have a lot of acne. And the next day, I was calling my mom, and I was like, you think this is an ingrown pimple on my neck? And she was like, you should go get it checked out. I was like, okay. Didn't think anything of it. But then I started freaking out because I'm like, well, when if those are my glands and my glands are swollen, and that's a sign of COVID? What if I have COVID? And I started freaking out and then taking my temperature, and I was like, oh my God, I'm like 99, maybe I have COVID. But I went to doctors, and they were like, okay, let's go for an ultrasound. And I was like, an ultrasound? They were like, yeah, it might be nothing, it might be something, just go to be safe. I was like, okay, go to an ultrasound. The doctor who ordered it was terrible and wouldn't respond to me, so I went to a new doctor with my ultrasound results and was like, what does this mean? And they were like, well, we can't really tell. Let's go for a CT scan and let's do blood work and a chest x-ray. I was like, okay, more tests, fine. I do all that. And the doctor is like, well, your blood work came out perfect. You're healthy. So I was like, that's good. And they were like, but we don't like that we see, clumps of lumps. We want you to get a biopsy. And I'm like, a biopsy? I'm like, does that automatically mean I have cancer? And they were like, no, it's just to rule out cancer. You just never know. If it's not, it could be something minor, and it just can be an infection, and you take antibiotics and be over. I was like, oh, all right, sure. At this point, I'm still kind of calm. I was like, well, doesn't sound so bad, but at the same time, I'm like freaking out inside. And I went to also go see an ear, nose, and throat doctor because they're the specialists. And I went to go see a couple doctors because I was at this point like double checking everything. The one doctor was like, this looks like lymphoma. You need to get a biopsy. And I'm like, God, I'm freaking out. Like after that one, I'm like, I have cancer. What does this mean? I don't even know what that means. Then the day of the biopsy, which I went for a needle biopsy, they literally like turn you over, have this fucking needle that goes in you and it goes click, 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 click. It sounds terrible. They numb you, so I didn't really feel it, but you're freaking the fuck out the entire time. And the radiologist looks at me and he goes, do you know what they've been sending you for? Like, what do they think it is? And I was like, well, they told me it could be lymphoma, but it could just be an infection. He looked at me dead in the eyes and was like, no, this is lymphoma. And I was just like, oh, okay. How can he just confidently tell me that without getting the results of a biopsy? So my dad drove me. I got in the car. And it was just a crazy morning because he was on the phone. And I was like, we all thought like, no, it's not going to be cancer. So we're being hopeful. And, he starts driving away and I'm just silent. And he just looks at me. He's like, is everything okay? And I just started crying. And I was like, no, he said it's lymphoma. Like, I have cancer. And they were like, no, you don't have the results yet. Like, we don't know what it is. And that was on a Thursday. And at that point, I was so upset. And I was like, all right, I'm going to convince myself and tell myself that I have lymphoma. And if the results come back differently, I'll be really happy. But if they come back with lymphoma, I've already processed it. And then I told myself, I should get a puppy because I'm really stressed and upset. And we're in the middle of a pandemic and I live alone. So if I do have cancer, who is going to be next to me 24/7 while I'm freaking out? That was a Thursday. Friday, my stepmom, Carmen, comes over and we research dogs. Maya is researching dogs with me. By Monday, I was like, oh my God, I found this cute puppy, but he's in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Like, should I get him? He's really expensive. My mom, my dad, my stepmom, Maya was like, yes, just get him. He's so cute. Even if you don't have cancer, like, you should just get a dog. I was like, fuck it. So thank you, Maya, for entertaining me on my journeys. But we took a 4-hour drive to Lancaster, Pennsylvania and picked up my little baby, Merlot, and drove back. So it was like a 7-8 hour round trip to get my cute little puppy here. But he was worth it. And then the anxiety kicks in because those needle biopsies take about 5 days for results to come back. So you're sitting there with just terrible anxiety, not knowing. Honestly, that's probably the worst part of this entire journey for me, was the unknown. Once there's a plan, once there's like, okay, every other week you go, like, I was fine with that. I'm like, I'm accepting this. I have a plan. I know what the end goal is. Like, we're good. The not knowing drove me crazy. I mean, it's just like, do I have cancer? Do I not? Am I going to go through chemo? Am I not? Like, okay, I do. So what does that mean? The unknowing is harsh. So anybody that is going through that right now, I am so sorry because I know how you feel and it's terrible. It's a terrible, terrible feeling. So of course I went and I found out and I'm positive for lymphoma. And then they were like, let's set you up for an oncologist. So I went to go see 2 oncologists. I ended up going with my doctor in Hackensack, John Thorough Cancer Center, Dr. Lori Leslie, who's amazing. I mean, she's been my favorite doctor, I think, today. And, even that appointment was scary. And I was like, what does this mean? And she was like, well, you have to get an actual biopsy where they literally cut it open, take out a lump, and search it again to see what specific type of cancer and lymphoma you have. So I was like, okay, started freaking out. I'm like, I'm young. I'll be 28 this year. What does that mean for my fertility? Does cancer not allow you to have kids? And they were like, well, there's still a possibility for you to have kids afterwards, but to be safe, we suggest that you harvest some eggs. So then I had to go through a whole fertility process. And for someone who's not interested in kids for a while, it was terrible, okay? It was horrible. I had to inject shots into my stomach for 10 days straight. Every morning at 7 a.m. I had to go to the doctor for a checkup to see how my eggs were doing before they can retrieve them. Then you have to do a trigger point that's in your butt cheek, and you can't do it yourself. And then I'm like, what am I gonna have my parents do it? I don't have a boyfriend, like who's gonna do it for me? So of course, thank you, my best friend Maya, for always being there for me, because I went to her house, and she did it for me, which is always a journey. I'm not gonna go too much into that process, but if you wanna know more about a fertility process, call me up, because I know way too much now, and I don't even want kids yet. But yeah, I have eggs harvested before I started chemo. So again, I started this journey June 11th. I didn't start chemo until September 4th. So basically the entire summer of just anxiety and stress and the not knowing and other processes and tests until I started chemo, which is really stressful. It was extremely, extremely stressful. But then chemo started. So September, started chemo every other Friday. So a total of 12 rounds of chemo. Tomorrow will be my last chemo, my 12th, for the last 6 months. Chemo's terrible. I have always been a strong, independent woman. And one of the, I guess, hardest parts for me was asking for help. I don't want to ask for help. I want to do it on my own. I don't need to depend on someone. Chemo hits you hard. I'm 28. I'm a young, healthy female. And it hit me hard. Those kids and elderly or people who are already prone to other factors and diseases and have a weak immune system that have to go through this, I honestly don't know how they do it. I mean, I suffered. I feel bad for them. And the entire time I went through this agony and pain, I was so grateful for what I did have. Another thing about chemo is it made me really sensitive. I probably cry way too much now. Before this, I barely ever cried. Like, again, I was that strong female that was like, no, I'm good. Like, I'm not gonna cry for this. Like, you know, I've gone through my own round of things and I cry all the time. So excuse me for breaking down a couple times during this video already. But yeah, I started chemo without the port because I was like, I could do this without the port. I don't need it. Shit burns through your veins, literally. I'm sharing pictures throughout this video too, but they literally have you hooked up and it goes through your vein and it burns. So then I got the port. I guess I have a little scar. My cancer scar, I guess. But let me tell you about some of those symptoms. I had bone aches. Terrible, terrible bone aches. And that comes from a shot. So basically, you go and you sit in a infusion room and you're sitting there for 4 hours getting chemo. Chemo is 4 different types of drugs that they put into you. Don't ask me what they are. I don't know. I have them written down somewhere. And you're by yourself because it's COVID and you're not allowed to have anyone in there with you. So I'm sitting there and at least the nurses, God bless them. I mean, they're so nice and they're so sweet. And they were there for me every step I needed. Like, do you need water? You need a snack? You need lunch? They have lunch for you, even though it was terrible. It's like deli sandwiches, but not good. So I brought my lunch a lot, or thank you, Dad, because he would bring me lunch a lot, even though he wasn't allowed in. He would stop in with lunch and wait outside for me until I was done. That's the other thing. You really can't drive. I mean, I guess you can, but it's just nicer with your parents or someone dropping you off. So my parents came with me to every single doctor's appointment and chemo. They dropped me off and they would come and pick me back up. Then after chemo, I mean, I felt nauseous. Like, your stomach just hurts. I don't know how else to explain it. Like, you don't want to eat. You don't want to do anything. You just feel exhausted. And then you have to give yourself these autoimmune shots for 5 days after. And those give you the worst bone pains. Like, terrible aching pains. Like, imagine your entire body just aching and you don't know how to make it stop. So after the first one and the second one, I was like, this, I don't care. Give me any drug that there is. And if you knew me before this, I was that person that was like, I'll never do weed ever in my life. Like, I've never tried marijuana. I've never smoked. I was always against it. Like, judgy as fuck. Excuse me now. Like, you know, once you do it, it's different. But I was like, drug me up. You're not allowed to smoke during chemo because at least the specific chemo I have, it could affect your lungs. So I have edibles. And I got my medical card. So I made weed butter ones. Maya, of course, entertained me with that adventure. But most of the time I just ate gummies. And my one friend helped me get a lot of them too before I had my card. But yeah, it's honestly, weed gummies were the only thing that ever helped my pain. They gave me, you know, prescription drugs like tramadol and stuff, but it barely worked. Like, it didn't. A Tylenol worked better than that. Where weed gummies, like, honestly, like, relieved my pain. And it was like the one time that I was like, oh my God, I feel like good for once. And it made me hungry. And we're like, literally, it's not a joke. You're not hungry during chemo. You have no appetite. You don't have a desire for food. They're like, what do you want to eat? I don't know. I'm not hungry. So unless someone was like, we're eating this, I didn't want to eat. And thank God, like, again, for my parents and my friends and stuff who were like, you're eating. And I was on a schedule. I didn't lose weight during any of this. I mean, I fluctuated within like 10 pounds, but overall I've stayed healthy and maintained my weight, which is what I wanted because, again, the first round of chemo, like, I think I lost like 5 pounds the first round because I had mouth sores, which mouth sores are terrible too because you literally can't eat. There's sores on your tongue. And if you open your mouth, you're crying in pain. Talking hurt. It was so bad. And that's happened. I mean, even that happened like 2 weeks ago. Mouth sores, like, they just come and go. And baking soda, rinsing with baking soda helped a lot. And drinking ice cold drinks on the day of chemo and that whole weekend afterwards helped. But they were still terrible. They were really bad. What else? Hair loss. Oh my God, I haven't even gotten into that and we're like 20 minutes in. Obviously, I lost my hair. This is a wig. It's a synthetic wig and I love it. I did a whole wig journey. Actually had a wig and waffle party where my friends came over and all the girls wore wigs and I cut my hair off because it was falling out and I didn't want to watch it fall out. So I was like, cut it all off. I'll share some videos and actually some clips with you during me talking because I loved it in all different styles because I had to try colors. And this entire time, like, I've just had fun with wigs. Yes, this is not my hair and I don't care. And I don't know that much about wigs, so if someone does know how to make this stuff stay, and I think that's my biggest fear from all this, please let me know because, I don't know, I'm just going with whatever I can. I have a pink wig that I love and I wear all the time. I have a red one. I have a real hair wig. Overrated, people. Overrated. Like, I'm sorry, just buy the synthetic one. This one cost me $45 and this is my favorite one. The real hair wig that I have that costs like $250, $300, I don't wear it because you have to style it. Synthetics wigs, I wash it and these curls come back. It's amazing. I just love it. I mean, yes, I can't wait until I have hair again, but I'll rock wigs for a while. I mean, we'll see when it grows back what I'll do. Some of my eyebrows are going. You'll see it. I fill some in. My eyelashes are like barely there. And okay, a couple of pros to chemo. I have hair nowhere else. Shaving? Nah, I haven't done that in 6 months. My period, I haven't had that in 6 months. I mean, I'm sure it'll all come back soon, but that's been a great deal at least. two pros to all these negative things. Let's see, what else happened? Oh, because I don't have period, I have premenstrual symptoms. So I got hot flashes all the time. terrible. Constipation. Oh my God. Because chemo, they give you so many anti-nausea pills, you're backed up and it's horrendous. So for days, you're just trying different things to make yourself go. I had hemorrhoids at some point because it was just so terrible. Soy milk. I had to drink soy milk to get rid of the hot flashes. That helped. I take Claritin and the stool softener twice a day to help with the other stuff. Being positive. Okay, so mental health during all of this. One of the first things that I wanted was a therapist because I have an amazing set of family friends that I can talk to all the time. But I wanted someone that wasn't my family or my friend or a coworker to talk to about this because they're also going through this. Like, yes, it's me and it's my process and I have cancer and I'm going through chemo. But my friends and family are also upset about it and they're also going through this with me. They're the ones that have to be there on the bad days, you know? So if I'm talking to them over and over again about my terrible days, I already feel bad, you know, that they see me in this pain and they're hurting. I know that they're hurting. I know that they wish that they could take this away from me and they can't. So talking to a therapist, at least, like, you know, I can relieve some of that to someone who is not going to take what I say and hurt themselves from it. So I really highly suggest that for someone. Of course, if you know me, I've advocated for mental health since my brother passed over 10 years, and I've been a part of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention for a while now. So I highly suggest seeking help in getting a therapist and someone else to talk to because it really has helped me immensely. And I consider my dog a therapy puppy because he literally has helped me immensely. Like, he's the one, I don't know if you hear him scratching underneath me right now, but he's there for me 24/7. When I'm laying on the couch watching TV while everyone else has gone home, like, he's next to me. And that has honestly made such a difference. You know, like, he keeps me entertained. He's the reason why I get up in the morning. He needs me. And that drive alone makes so much of a difference. I get up to feed him. I get up to go to the bathroom with him. Like, I get up because he just wants me awake. He's a needy puppy, but I love him for it. Like, I play with him and, like, you know, during my first couple weeks of chemo, I did this whole online course with him and it keeps you active. That's the other thing. You should try to stay active. I know it's really hard because you just want to sleep and do nothing and you feel like shit, but at least going on walks, trying to get out of the house for a little, move your body, it makes so much of a difference. It really, really does. Let's see, what else is there? Oh, so I don't know how, but again, I have amazing friends. And during all this, I did a lot of, like, crazy things. Like, my best friend turned 30 and they literally picked me up from the hospital on my day of chemo and we went away for the weekend and celebrated. That was like a Friday night into Saturday. We slept over, had a great time. Again, we were all COVID safe. And then we threw her a surprise party. She had no idea, and it was the best thing ever. I mean, again, like, it just keeps my mind off being sick, and it allows me to make someone else happy, and that is all I ever want, you know, like, gratitude. And I'm so grateful for everything in my life because, especially with COVID, I'm sure a lot of people realize that, but I had a job through all this. I mean, my job's been amazing. I have reduced hours, but honestly, I probably wouldn't be able to work full time with chemo anyways. So working 6 hours a week, you know, only 4 days a week because then I would take off for Friday and Monday for chemo. But, you know, that was a blessing in disguise, having COVID through all this. It brought on a lot of other fears, like, I haven't gone to the grocery store in a long time because I'm afraid to get COVID with a low immune system. But at least I'm not missing out on anything because you ain't going anywhere anyways because of COVID. So I'm home, you're home, and I don't feel so bad. I had weekend nail appointments. Amy, thank God, is a nail technician, and the girls and I would just spend weekends doing our nails because at least it's at someone's house and we're safe and I get my nails cute at least. I would spend weekends, chemo, I do spend chemo weekends at my mom, so it's a little getaway, you know, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then someone would stay with me during the week of that week after chemo, whether it was my brother that stayed with me, my mom, Maya would come and babysit for me for the day. I always had someone with me because, again, like, your energy is zero. So just getting up to get lunch is a hassle. Getting up to the bathroom sometimes you're like weak. One of the best gifts that I got during all this was pre-made food that I froze and ate it whenever I was hungry. Yeah, the food helped a lot. What else? I wrote little notes. I think that's about it. My friends got me this awesome necklace that I might turn into a tattoo. Purple is the color for lymphoma, and it says, it came, we fought, and I won. It's been a long 6 months. A long 6 months. And I can't wait for this to be over because it's terrible. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry for anybody that has to go through this ever. Chemo sucks. Cancer sucks. But I'm gonna be healthy. And that's the good thing about chemo. I'm gonna live a long, healthy life. And I've already gotten a scan back in October, November, and I was cancer-free then. You just have to continue on with the chemo to hopefully it never comes back, it doesn't grow again. I will go for my last scan in March to confirm that it stayed away. And after 5 years is when they consider me cured. So post-chemo journey, I mean, we'll see what it is. I don't know when I'll get hair back and start feeling 100%, but I know my friends and family and coworkers are here for me. Oh, the other thing that I forgot to mention, my coworkers were amazing. They surprised me after my first round of chemo with an iPad. An iPad. They bought me an iPad because going to treatments, I needed something to do while I was there. And I brought this literally iPad every single treatment. And I watched videos and stuff. They're amazing. I have an amazing group of support of people. And I really wouldn't be able to do this without any of them. Yeah. And for those of you who did know that I'm going through this and haven't reached out at all, don't expect me to reach out to you, that's for sure. Yeah, after going through such a thing, if I ever find out a friend or family is going through this, you bet that I'll be there for them. And if I can't physically be there for them, I'm gonna text them and I'm gonna ask them how they're doing, because you don't even know how much of a difference that makes for someone. It really makes a big difference knowing that someone's thinking of you and hoping you are getting well while you're sitting here in pain and can't do anything about it. So yeah, that's my cancer story. I mean, I'll have more to come as I go through this treatment and I'm healthy again, but tomorrow's my last one. I'm gonna give my cancer nurses a little box of lifesaver candies and say thank you for being my lifesaver. So I can't wait for that. And for all my friends, if you want to join, I'm gonna try to do a live event and ring the bell. For those of you that have gone through this, there's a bell at the end of this. So when you're done with chemo, you ring the bell so that you're done. And my friends, of course, got me a shirt. So I'm gonna wear a shirt that says ring the bell and run like hell, and I'm free. So I can't wait till tomorrow. Although it's still a journey to get healthy, I made it through this. And I couldn't have done it without the support of my friends and family and coworkers. So thank you, really. And I'm so grateful for what I do have, because again, I have a job, I have a roof over my head, I have food on the table, I haven't worried about financial needs at all when I'm sure other people are struggling. And I don't want to minimize the fact that I have cancer, but I know that I was going to get through this. And those people that don't have this kind of support and don't know, you know, when their next meal is, that's who I'm hurting for. Yeah, if you want to know more, reach out to me. I'll talk your ear off. But here's my story, and I know I've been quiet about it the entire time, so yay, ending cancer. Bye.